had no other option, had to be a boss.
I'm in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Welcome back. Welcome back to In Black America Radio with your host, Rasta B. Saturday. And today we're going to be talking about the Fox News BlackStaff Revolt. We're going to be talking about general topics, various things. And that's it. We're just gonna talk a lot of shit today. But I don't have nothing, a centered topic really. But we're gonna make it into something, But the guest call-in number, like always, is 646-716-4654. And before I do anything else, let me go ahead and bring in my co-host, Smoke. Smoke, are you there?
Yo. What's good?
Man, what's good, man? What's up?
Shit, big Saturday, man. Mostly just chilling and relaxing today, which is a good thing, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, nothing too major, you know what I'm saying? A good day overall.
Okay. Ain't nothing too exciting, you said?
Nah, nothing too exciting, man. One of those days, slow motion days, man. Just chilling, cleaning up shit, and just doing regular shit, man. Nothing major.
All right, that's what
you got. What you got going on? Oh yeah, your day must have been a little more action packed than mine.
No, I thought it was gonna be, but it wasn't. I'm advise people in Black America and around the world who's interested in cleaning up their credit or having control over their finances. One good thing I would say is to maybe quarterly or twice a year call your bank or your credit card company and have them tell them that you lost your card and get a new card. That way, any people that have access to your card to take money off your card, they won't have it no more because you have a new card number. So that's all I have to say this. I was talking to you off the show, and I was telling you how I noticed I had some charges on my card, and I'm like, where the hell is this shit coming from? I'm over here trying to eliminate debt,
Right.
And I got these charges. I'm like, shit, I know this ain't my damn children's mother and shit. I want some funny shit, you know what I'm saying? So, we spoke. She was like, she didn't know what that was. So I'm going to get the card canceled, you know what I'm saying? And get a new card sent in, So I have no idea what that charges is, yeah.
That's crazy.
And the same amount been coming out. It's like $84 for one.
You know that people be cloning cards and shit like that, so it could be somebody like, playing the slick, like, let me take a small amount, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, you never know, so that's crazy though.
So I'm just gonna, call them up, get that shit canceled, get a new card, and that way, my shit that automatically come out, it's not gonna come out, and they're gonna have to be like, hey, we need you to update your information. That way, I'm putting in again what should be coming out. and
right.
whatever shouldn't won't anymore. So we'll work it like that. So you know what I'm saying? So that's my advice for people out there. Do that shit at least quarterly, which is 4 times a year, or you could do that shit every 2 years. I mean every twice a year, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like where you just, you know, change your card and get a new card. That way you have control over who's taking money out your account. It's always good to pay attention to your statements and stuff and reevaluate what's coming out your account so you know what the hell is going on financially with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I gotta replace my card now.
You know what I'm saying? So, other than that, did you hear about the whole Fox news with the whole Fox and the
you talking about the the black employees like suing them cats like for like what racial discrimination or something to that effect? Yeah.
Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Yo, man, it's just people getting tired of shit. So it's like, it seems like, you know, once Bill O'Reilly, you know what I'm saying, got dumped out of there. Because, you know, for a long time, it's always been shit with Bill O'Reilly. And, you know, Fox always stood by him. And so now, like, that cat is up out of there. So it's like people's like, oh, it's time to hit the company when it's right. So, you know, you can't even hate on that. But it's like, I mean, do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You always have the court of law and these, you know, laws that protect people, you know, for having a fair work environment. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. So, hey, man, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be interesting to see, like, the outcomes of it. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's like, just in general, black people look at Fox like one of those racist, you know, news entities and shit. So it's like we automatically look at them. So, like, when I saw the story, it's like, oh, that's expected. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm more interested to see, like, you know, are these employees going to get justice? You know what I mean? They're going to get paid, well, you know, whatever the deal is. But hey, man, it is what it is. But what I did thought was interesting, too, was that, like, there's one article I saw, they were saying that Rupert Murdoch is trying to take over, a British satellite company, Sky News and shit. So it's like, that's supposed to be a big shit going on in Britain, you know, that he, like him, you know, there's probably a bunch of other motherfuckers that's they're, you know, all putting their bids in to try to cop that satellite company. So I wonder how much, like, you know, bad press plays into that. You know what I mean? I just looked at that angle, but yeah, man, you know, black employees, racial harassment, that's something that a lot of us deal with, and in this case, this is a big company, so I look at it as, you know, justified. Go after they next. You know what I'm saying? And get paid for it, you know.
Yeah, see me, I look at it like this. We've been watching that shit go down first with the MSNBC. I think it was MSNBC when it came with Tamala Hall.
Right. Tamala Hall.
That's correct, right? Tamala Hall. Yeah, like that's when they first was doing that. Tamara Hall. First, it was CNN. Because CNN started really taking away a lot of their black anchors for a long time, especially the men. You know what I'm saying? The fuck is that noise? Yeah, they started getting rid of their black men anchors early in the game. I started noticing that shit, except the gay ones. So I'm sitting over here and I'm like, damn, what the fuck is all the black man anchors on CNN? Then MSNBC, I noticed they did that with Tamara Hall. And then you hear the shit going on with the whole, you know what I'm saying? Well, then you got the situation with, that was the Tamara Hall. Then you had a situation, I'm trying to think, was there a situation in daytime news too? I can't remember.
Can't recall.
All I know is it's systematic, basically, is what I'm saying. So now that it got down to the Fox News section, and now they are screaming about the racism they had in there. You know what I'm saying? So basically the story goes, Fox News legal troubles grew even larger Tuesday with new plaintiffs, including the anchor, joining the suit alleging racial discrimination and harassment. The suit is now headlined by Kelly Wright, a black reporter and anchor who had been with Fox News since 2003, which claims that he has been effectively sidelined and asked to perform the role of a Jim Crow, the racist caricature of a black entertainer. Wright's allegations involved, among others, recently fired Fox News host Bill O'Reilly and current News Network co-president Bill Shine. The suit claims that Wright was shunned from O'Reilly's now-canceled program, The O'Reilly Factor, and that Shine has demonstrated an obsession with race when it comes to discussion with Mr. Wright, including regularly asking him, how do black people react to you, and how do you think white viewers look at you? In one alleged example, Wright claims that he was rebuffed in his efforts to show a series of positive stories about the African-American community on the Factor because, according to the complaint, it showed blacks in too positive a light. Wright is one of 13 plaintiffs, all people of color, who are either current or former Fox News employees, to sue the network in the last month, charging racial discrimination. The litigation began last month when two black women filed a lawsuit saying they faced top-down racial harassment from Judith Slater, Fox News now former comptroller. The two plaintiffs Tachano, I can't pronounce the first name, Brown, and Tabrice Wright accused Slater of making a number of racially insensitive remarks. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Now, watch this, Luke. The litigation began last month when two black women filed a lawsuit saying they faced top-down racial harassment, not sexual harassment. You dig what I'm saying, Smoke? They said the litigation began last month when two black women filed a lawsuit saying they faced top-down racial harassment. From who? Judith Slater. Judith, a white woman. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I keep saying in past shows that it's so stupid for black women to scream, I'm dealing with sexism and racism. No, you're only dealing with racism. That is it. You can't compartmentalize.
That's a good point.
Whatever the word is. You know what I'm saying? You can't. It's the ism is what you're dealing with, which is oppression. We already dealt with this. Look up the word. And what happened is you're being oppressed due to your race. But you're allowing somebody to tell you that, no, you have it worse, black woman, because you're dealing with racism and sexism. But then in this case right here, they said the whole litigation began last month when 2 black women filed the lawsuit saying they faced top-down racial harassment from Judith Slater. That's because that's all you're dealing with, black woman, is racial harassment. That is it, because we're all black. We're one people fighting one common cause, and we got to stop separating ourselves. Because think about how stupid it would be, Smoke, if Judith Slater was Jude or John Slater, and then it would be the litigation began last month when 2 black women filed a lawsuit saying they face top-down racial harassment and sexual harassment. What? No. No, you're dealing with racial harassment. Once you start trying to break it down, and sexual harassment and ageism, and it's like, come on, they're only fighting against you for one reason. They're only treating you like this for one reason, because you black. Even when it's sexual, it's because you're black. You're unprotected. That's why they're doing this to you. You're prey. They're predators. You think a gazelle give a fuck why the lion is chasing them? You think they're going to sit there and try to break down the reason why the lion chasing them? No. Oh, they're doing this because I have one antler, because I have a stripe. Or they do this because, you know what I'm saying? They don't give a fuck, man. They're going to say, oh, shit, the predator is chasing the prey. They're not going to say, oh, they're doing this because I'm prey, and they're doing this because I'm a gazelle, and they're doing this because, no. The number one thing that matters is because you're prey. And in this case, it was a white woman harassing these black women that made them sue. And she said they was dealing with racial harassment from the top all the way down, racial harassment. And if we as black people just understand that the issue that we have in America is racial issues when it comes to white people, then we will strengthen who we are, so that don't matter. But we can't, because we have the elite blacks using the racial issue to their benefit to keep us down. So now we start thinking the racial issue is a barrier that's holding us down when it's not. The racial issue is just that, what it is, an issue that white people have with us. That is it. That's an issue they have. That's not something that affects us in the sense that we're hung up on racial shit. That's an issue that they have, and they're hung up on because it interferes with their existence on this planet. That's where the obsession comes from. But what happened is you have black elites who now turn around and they take the racial issue that white people have against us and turn around and says, this is something that we should have an issue with too. And this is something that we should fight against and we should think about. When this have nothing to do with us. Only thing we should be doing is strengthening our racial identity. But we won't, because we're identifying through the eyes of white people, thinking that if we just lessen who we are, then white people will feel comfortable. And we're not supposed to give a fuck about the comfortability of white people, because the thing that makes white people comfortable is that they're able to rule and dominate with nobody interfering. So if you want them to be comfortable, then guess what? You're going to now have to sit back and allow them to rule and dominate you. If you don't want them to rule and dominate against you, then they're not going to feel comfortable. So you can't ride that fence. That's what the elites don't want you to know. So they make you feel like we have to march. Let's erase racism, and you didn't create this shit. So it's not your job to do anything other than live within it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. You got to live within this shit. You ain't create this shit. So while you in this shit, strengthen yourself and build this shit up. But don't get caught up in this shit. You got these poor crackers and these rich crackers fighting each other. And black people is being told to resist, ignore, don't fight. Just hold on and wait until we call you to vote again. And we're like, yeah. No. We need to be falling back, building our shit. Go ahead, Smoke. Oh, and here's the next thing I want to say before I pass off to you, Smoke. Now, these black staffers dealt with all of that racism and shit at Fox News, right? Now, watch this. How many of them do you think will roll their eyes if you said to them, well, why don't you come over to BET and run the news program on BET? See what I'm saying? They'll roll their eyes to talk about how ghetto BET is after coming out of Fox. You see what I'm saying? That's how fucked up in the mind we are.
Yeah, we're proud now.
That they'll come out of Fox and diss BET as ghetto after coming from white trash from Fox News. Where they had to wrestle each other, all kind of shit. Motherfuckers sexually harassing you, calling you hot chocolate and all kind of shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And they'll stick around and deal with that shit, but then the thought of working at BET, motherfuckers rolling their eyes and like, fuck out of here.
Yeah, man. That's just like,
deal with that with white people.
Yeah, like I said, man, like, I want to see them win their cases and, all that shit, you know what I'm saying? But, like, you make a good point of, with the example you just made, because it's kind of like when you do look at it, it's kind of like, we'll pawn our talents off, as a community. We'll go somewhere and pawn our talents off where we're not getting recognized, where we're getting stomped on and insulted, definitely probably getting underpaid, you know what I'm saying, where we could really just use our resources to, to build up our community. So I'm pretty sure these people that they naming are talented people, they're qualified to do their jobs. But, like you said, an example of them not wanting to go to BET, it's like we'll take those beat downs where we getting underappreciated, underpaid, and you're not really able to capitalize on your talents instead of pretty much like doing your own thing or just building up, your own platform in whatever sense you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? In this case, it'll be like, journalists and shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
My whole thing is, if they real about their shit, then why they not trying to come together, build up a station? You know what I'm saying? Online station where they doing the news. But a lot of times, them niggas ain't reporters. They just repeaters. You know what I'm saying? They're not reporters. They just sit there behind the desk and repeat what's in front of them. Pieces of paper, a teleprompter, and they just repeat shit. So that's why when they get fired from these jobs, that you never see them say, yo, you know what? Let's create our own shit. Because they don't got no plug. They don't got no ears to the street. You see what I'm saying? They don't have nothing to become nothing. They're just pieces to a puzzle. That's it. So when you discard those pieces, we'll just create another piece for that over there. And once you're away from the big picture, you're nothing in the grand scheme of shit. And that's what all them people are. Because where is our news channel? We have none. So if we don't got a news channel, how the fuck we tell the news? I mean, we get our news information from Roland Man. I'll give him that. We get it from our radio station. We get it from Blog Talk Radio. We get it from here in Black America Radio. We get it from Facebook and Twitters and things like that. So we know where to go out and get our information, but it's like, where is that voice? When you got the so-called news media like CNN talking about the news they want to spend, then you got some fucking straight-up cracker-ass white trash television where they out there doing whatever the fuck they want to do, unchecked, and getting big fucking money to do it. Where is ours? You see what I'm saying? Where's our platform to talk? Where's our platform to show the news, to show the missing children, to show police brutality, to show where we sitting down and we watching it, and we can see the, you see what I'm saying? Where is that? And then the next question behind where is that, because it's never about where is that. It's always about who funds it. So where is that? And then the next question is, where are the businesses that's going to help sponsor that?
Well,
because
money gotta get
if black
get that money.
Yeah, if black business isn't sponsoring the news station, then it's going to be a white business that's going to sponsor it and then dictate what can be said and shown on the show. So then we're going to end up having a show with white money dictating what goes on with it, and then it's going to get weak, and then we're not going to like it. Then we're going to say it's sold out. You see what I'm saying? And then it's not going to be effective. So it's like we always have to say, where's the dollars to keep it running? Even when it comes to politicians. Here we go. I always hear this, Smoke. Oh, let's get the black people all out here in this one community, and we can all vote for Smoke, and he could become mayor, and then we can see some real change in our community. No. Y'all think the voting shit works just because you vote. No, you got to have money behind the candidate.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the business community, huh?
I said the voting is just one part of it.
That's just one part. You got to have the bread. Because if your money ain't funding this politician, then your interest will not be met.
Nope.
You got to pay to play. That's the part of the game they're not telling you. That's why when you vote and then you get nothing out of it, then you click the screen, man, my vote don't count. Your vote do count. It's just that y'all not using it right. It's like playing games in Chuck E. Cheese. You getting all them coins, you playing it in Chuck E. Cheese, then after you're getting the tickets, and after you get all the tickets, you just leave, and you don't put the shit back in the machine, so you can get the coupons, so you get the other gifts, the toys or whatever. You don't do that part.
Right.
You just play, and then you get the tickets, and then you go home, and you're like, damn, man. Like, I hate going to Chuck E. Cheese because every time I go there to play, or Dave and Buster, I go there to play, and all I do is you win all these tickets. That's it. And you're like, yo, when you get the ticket, you're supposed to then go to another machine and put the tickets in there. And it's like you're not going to, you know what I'm saying? But you're like, yo, man, it don't make no sense for me to play, because when I play, I can't win. Yeah, I can't win none of those games over there. None of them prizes over there. And you're like, yo, after you play the game and you get the ticket, you got to go there to cash out. That's where you go next. But you never learned the cash out part. You only know to play in the game so you can win a big prize, but you don't know how to win the big prize because you don't know there's another step. And that's how it sits. You get the politician in there, you vote, true indeed, but y'all have to have money. Its money is also in the play. So that's what we got to think about, but we don't realize that shit because we doing shit half-assed. But we listening to somebody else tell us shit instead of investigating the shit for ourselves, so we can have a better understanding or overstanding on how this shit is being played. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times we like to listen to people tell us shit. And then we start to think, okay, I voted, now what? Now what? Did you read the rules? Nah, I ain't read nothing. My homeboy told me what to do. That nigga don't know nothing either. That's the blind leading the blind now. You know what I'm saying? That's the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
And then I see they got the ESPN fight happening.
Which what?
The ESPN firing.
Oh yeah, they cleaned house over at ESPN and shit. They fired mad people.
How that?
Well,
How
I mean,
that work?
basically, they didn't really say why. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, you know, they changing shit. I mean, why I think they did the firing, but I mean, back it up a little bit. But like the story came out, it was a few days ago, this past week. You know, it was always rumoring that they were gonna have layoffs. So that's, you know, that's been a rumor for about a month or whatever, maybe a little longer. And then this week, you know, you just started seeing, you know, a bunch of analysts tweeting out, you know, they got laid off, and you know, they thank you for the time, thank ESPN for the time. You know, some others said some different things or whatever, but that's pretty much how the news was coming.
How many was white versus black?
It was mostly white.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like ESPN have a lot of black analysts. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of programming, like from baseball, college football. You know, some of the joint. It was kind of like, you know, it was more like you could see that they cutting back on spending. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they were saying that certain segments is going to be outsourced to different channels, like different news channels and shit like that. So, you know, it's just like they're losing money to the other sports channels and, like, you know, really like internet. You know what I mean? People watching highlights on YouTube and shit like that. You know, that's how I took it. You know what I mean? But, yeah, that shit was crazy. They asking everybody how to hear.
That's what it is. Was there any famous blacks that got fired?
Nah, not nobody. Not no Stephen A. or nobody like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the lists, I ain't even know who the hell, you know what I'm saying? Most of them people, I didn't really even know who they were.
They needed
yeah, just basically for me, like, it's like that, you know, ESPN was so far ahead of the game, you know what I'm saying, when they came in, you know what I mean, they was like, nobody really took ESPN serious, and then it just bloomed into what it is now. But it's like the culture changing, so it's like, you know, they got to change with it, so like getting rid of that dead weight.
See, and that's the whole thing about being ahead of the curve versus being behind the curve. When you're ahead of the curve, you ain't got nothing to worry about. When you behind the curve, you got to make layoffs. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
you're gonna end up dealing with losses first. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not an innovator. So you're gonna be dealing with losses first because you're gonna be thinking to yourself, I don't know how else to change this. Then you're gonna start to see losses. Then you're gonna be saying to yourself, well, we gotta figure out how to stop the bleeding. You see what I'm saying? So you got to always say to yourself, like in my opinion, you got to be ahead of the curve. You don't want to be behind the curve. And a lot of that is just paying attention, strategizing, and using history. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. But, you know, shout out to the black anchors and all of them, I guess. But my thing is this. If y'all was worth anything, then y'all will come together and create your own shit. If y'all ain't worth shit, y'all ain't going to be able to create shit.
That's real, especially when you speak in the sense of, economy building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's something that, will belong to us and is necessary. Cause shit, we always complain about the skewed point of views and the racial undertones when we turn Fox on, hell, CNN, or anytime you watch any news reporting outlet, you know what I'm saying? We always complain about that shit. So there's a need for that in the community. So it would be successful if you launch it, you know what I'm saying? And like in Powernomics, Claude Anderson, he was always saying, like, black people needed to look into, like, industries that, that's of need and shit like that. That was, like, one of the point of emphasis and shit in that Powernomics and shit. So it's an opportunity there, you know what I'm saying? Take advantage of that shit. Right.
And that is something that should be done. You should be looking within your community for what we don't control, and then try to control that. You see what I'm saying? You do have the Morris brothers who have the tissues and the toilet tissues and the paper towels. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the person that makes the forks and the spoons and the knives? You know what I'm saying? The utensils. We always going to need utensils. You know what I'm saying? What about socks, underwears, panties, bras? You know what I'm saying? Like, we did the good thing about being in the position that we're in is that there is a plethora of things for us to create. And not only are we screaming buy black and support black, in doing that, we're also embedding it into our culture to buy black and support black, meaning that as a black person, when you create something as a black person, just like that Obama signing the DRIP doctrine, that declaration that's not legally binding, but it's a declaration to give for people to have a good little look, like, hey, look out for the indigenous people. We can have the same doctrine where it's like, yo, buy black, support black. You dig what I'm saying, Smoke? Where we know, like when we go someplace, and it's like, yo, you got a contractor for a house, you got a cleaning service, you got a lawn care. The first thing you're going to do is look out for the black person first. You know what I'm saying? And the black person who have business, we have to make sure that we're doing an excellent job when we having black customers. Any customers, really. You know what I'm saying? Any customers. But, you know what I'm saying? Just understand that, yes, this is a black person here, because that has to be part of our culture. The point of saying that is now when you find out, oh, this brother here makes his own black forks, spoons, and knives, and it might have the Unk or whatever image on there. Right. And now we make a self-conscious effort to now buy forks, spoons, and knives from this black-owned utensil spot. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. And things of that nature. Oh, I'm going to buy my daughter some panties or a bra set, or my little sons and shit, some underwear, and these things are made and purchased, it's from a black-owned business that makes this. Right. You see what I'm saying? Things of this nature. You got, black imagery on there. You need stuff like that. Go ahead, Smoke.
Nah, you know what I'm saying? And you're right about that and shit. And then on the flip side, motherfuckers that's making the shit, or providing a service, make that shit fair price. You know what I'm saying? So people will buy your shit. You still want to make your money. And I say that, like, for example, at the crib, the water heater went out. So, you know what I'm saying? You have cold water, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And, went to Lowe's. the water heater that's the size that we needed. That shit was like $350 or something like that. Boom, no problem, cool. But now we don't know how to put this shit in, you know what I'm saying? Check the installation or whatever. So we had to pay $30, being that, you know, where it was, you had to pay $30 for them to come out, check the shit. All right, they do that. Draw up the price for the installation or whatever. So dude, when he called us, he giving us a price of like $1,000 and some change. Like, yo, the water heater like $350. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you bugging. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, of course we ain't go with it. Talking to you know, one of the homies, Fat Boy and shit, and he like, oh, my uncle does that. That's what he telling us or whatever. So calls his uncle like, yeah, he can do that shit. How much you charge? I want to say he charges like $125 to put it in. Came through. He had a work van and everything. He was official. Came in, put it in. $125, knocked it out. From the time that we went to Lowe's, it basically took Lowe's a whole week to call us back and tell us that the shit was gonna be $1,000. It took him one day. We called him on a Saturday, and he gave the price right then over the phone. You know what I'm saying? Talking to my homeboy, he didn't even talk to us. You know what I'm saying? And then he like, yo, tomorrow, you know, it's a Sunday. He like, we busted out at 11, whatever time he came, right on time, gave us a good price. And, you know what I'm saying, did his work and everything. So, you know, shit, it's definitely a market, you know what I'm saying, for all that shit, man. And, you know, to just, you know, amongst each other, just to use our resources amongst each other to build this shit up, you know what I mean?
Because that's how you build an economy. That's how you build show the importance of your community, you know what I'm saying? Because when we can rely on each other for services and things of this nature, then guess what? You're not going to be quick to kill your brother. You're not going to be quick to kill your sister or to rape and kidnap her and all kind of shit like that, because we understand that we all need each other. We all rely on each other. It's a big microcosm of, you know what I'm saying, us as a people. You see what I'm saying? And that's the type of shit that we need. We're never going to see why we need each other or the importance of us as long as we have to keep working in other people's economy. Because as long as we have to compete against each other to get scraps from another race of people, we're always going to be loyal to another race of people, and we're always going to look at each other as competition. And when you're looking at people as competition, guess what? You're not looking at them as friends. You're looking at them as people that you want to dominate, you want to kill, that you want to win against. You don't want to see them shine. You don't want to see them get better or stronger. If you see somebody that you think is equal or better than you, you're not going to say to yourself, let me link up with this person because steel sharpens steel and we can be a strong crew. No, you're going to say to yourself, you know what? I want to fight against this person. I want to attack this person. What you think, you tougher than me or something? Why? Because now you feel like if I don't destroy this person, then he may beat me one day. He might win against me one day. You see what I'm saying? And it's like that's the mind frame that we have, because we have to compete against ourselves. Where we'll see a white person that won't even think about competing against them. We'll see that they're a benefit to us because if we know this white person, then maybe that white person can hook us up down the line. That white person can help us somehow. You see what I'm saying? That Chinese person, that Arab. Yo, I got me an Arab. I got me a Mexican friend. We always happy when we have another race of people as a friend. But we never excited when we know a lot of black people. Why? Because we don't feel like we have connects, pulled. So now you don't have a value to me. Because I don't see how being around you, I don't see how knowing you can benefit me, how that can get me out the hood. But if I see this Mexican kid in my class, I'm going to get to be his friend because he might have a way to get out the situation through his Mexican connect or his Chinese connect. And that's when we start selling out. You see what I'm saying? That's when we start selling out and shit like that. So it's like the only way for us to change these things about ourselves, we have to be, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over. I don't care how many times I say it or how many days I say it. None of this shit going to change until we have an economy. When we, blacks in America, can do business with blacks in Cuba, who can do business with blacks in Europe, who can do business with blacks in the islands, who can do business with blacks in Africa, you see what I'm saying, who can do business with other black people around the world, that's when we're going to see our conditions change. But as long as we keep on fighting to work for another group of people, we're never going to see value in ourselves. And we're never going to see the importance of coming together, working together, and building ourselves up as a unit instead of working as individuals. Go ahead, Simone.
Don't get no realer than that, man. We got to, man. We got to and shit. One thing I wanted to touch on real quick. Something that I had mentioned. You mentioned that shit like maybe one of the previous shows. Definitely before the New Year about the IPOs for well, actually, we was talking about Nas's venture capital company and like the different companies they invested in and so forth and so on. So it got me talking about, and I had mentioned the IPO for Dropbox, the company Dropbox, and like today I got a magazine, a Fortune magazine. So I didn't even sign up for this shit, so it must be something I put my name on or something like that. But I got one of these magazines. I got the magazine, and they was talking about the IPOs that may be coming up in the year. So I just wanted to mention them because we talk about like building wealth and you know what I'm saying, investing and shit like that. So. All right, so in the article, they're saying that, well, with the recent IPOs that came out with Snap, MuleSoft, and Okta, those already passed. So, you might could look into those stocks and maybe, invest in them if you like the price. But the ones that's coming up, soon is, one that we all have heard of, Spotify. So the music streaming giant reportedly aims to go public before the end of the year. So sometime this year, Spotify, they'll be going, having their initial public offering. Tanium, which is a cybersecurity company, they're coming up. And also a company, Blue Apron. They serve like the meal kits. You can buy like a kit that with your meal prepared already, and you all you gotta do is cook it or whatever. And now they're saying for next year possibly is Uber.
It's crazy. I've heard of that Blue Apron. I didn't know Nas was a part of that.
Well, no. I don't know if they're a part of it, but I remember, me saying this is before, like, and we was talking about Nas's company, and they was
different.
Yeah, different IPO, and then I ended up running across Dropbox. So, that's when I saw Dropbox in this article, I was like, oh, all right, let me see what else they got in here. And so they're saying that next year the possibilities are coming up for Uber. So we've seen how big, Uber changed the whole taxi game across the country. And so, that might be an opportunity to jump in and see some profits there. And then Airbnb. And so So, that's a company with the where you can rent the spaces and shit like that to stay or whatever. So, yeah,
and you know what?
Some ones that's coming up.
But just to silverback off of that, right? Just to silverback off of that. I also want to say that let's not, like the Jamaicans them say, do remember that January 2018, California is supposed to change or advance the marijuana laws where you don't need a license anymore. You could just walk into dispensaries and buy your herb.
Right, okay.
So a lot of these weed stocks is going to really boom, meaning around that August time, the August, September time, it's going to start to bubble in preparation for January. So that's why I'm telling people, get your E-Trade, your E-Trade, your financial type of joints like that. Get them. Start to have money slowly accumulate inside these accounts. Get your watch list. When you hear smoke or you hear Rasta B spewing out these tickers, these stock tickers, what you should do is put on these watch lists and watch them. You know what I'm saying? Put them on the watch list, watch them go up and down. What's going to happen is you're going to start to have a ballpark number in your head where you done seen it at, let's say, 7 cents, but it dropped down to 1 cent, or at $1.67, and it's at 120. But you understand because the market is iffy right now. So these are low numbers. So let me buy in at these lows. So when it do go back up to where I previously saw it at, my money will flip this many times. You see what I'm saying? Because this is about being ahead of the curve. You don't want to be behind it. Being behind the curve is when you sit around and stuff like that, and you is when you wait until everybody's telling you, hey, this is a good time to invest in weed stocks, and it's too late. You know what I'm saying? The shit done rose up some. You want to get in now where it's cheap, it's dipping, people not talking about it, and get your feet in now. Money ain't made. Money goes from one hand to the next hand. It transfer. You want these people, when everybody going into the rush, you want to already be inside there. So when they're buying, they buy that money going to you. When that stock is increasing, you automatically making money. Because you might got people now, they don't hear about the stock until 3 cents, but you've been buying into the shit at $1 or under $1 for fucking 8 months. Then 10 months later, everybody getting news about it, and they talking about it at 3 cents. You got it at $1 already, so you already ahead of the curve. You making bread, which is start being at $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and you selling. When that stock dropped, you came out strong. That's how you have to look at it, because that's how the game goes. You see what I'm saying? So
how the game goes.
Let's do this. Let's do this and let's make this money. Let's do this and let's make this money. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop playing games and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Let's make this money.
Opportunities, man. There's opportunities.
Let's get this opportunity. Yeah. Let's do this for 2017. You know what I'm saying? Because right now it's about rebuilding Black America. And if you can rebuild in Black America, you have literally everything here. We need everything. We need coffee shops. We need everything. You know what I'm saying? We need everything. We need all kind of factories. We need all kind of warehouses. We need all kind of assembly belts and trucking stuff and drop-off spots. We need everything. So guess what? There's opportunity for everybody. You just got to get off your ass and do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to talk about. You know, we're talking about that, but let's switch it up right here. They got a new book coming out, right, that I want people to check out. This right here, the title is called, or this article is called, Until the Drug Dealer's Teeth Rattle. It's a new book that examines how black communities inadvertently help lay the groundwork for mass incarceration. And if you heard on previous shows, I've been saying that. So they got a young picture of Charlie Rangel where he's talking about meeting on the narcotics and abuse and drug abuse in 1976. So
Charlie Rangel.
They go Charlie Rangel, yeah, and you know he already on the record for goddamn having his name on the fucking papers in support for the mass incarceration.
Right.
And we keep voting that black elite in to Harlem year after year after year. Right? That makes no sense. Even though we understand now, I'm talking in the past because we understand his current situation. But you know, that's what we kept doing. He was the one that incarcerated our whole generation. So any real discussion of mass incarceration is impossible without addressing racism. Michelle Alexander's widely acclaimed book, The New Jim Crow, cast the criminal justice system as a successor to slavery and segregation, one that hamstrung the African American community's social and economic growth since the civil rights movement. My colleague, Tainishi Coates, has explored any length how racial anxieties led white politicians to support increasingly harsher punishment for gun and drug crimes to devastating effects. Locking up our own, crime and punishment in Black America adds more layers to this case. A full review of the book can be found in the up-and-coming June 2017 issue of this magazine called The Atlantic. All right, so it goes. The author, James Foreman, Jr., is a Yale University law professor and the son of a civil rights icon. What he offers is an insightful history of Black American leaders and their struggle to keep their communities safe from police and criminals alike. Far from ignoring the issues of crime by blacks against other blacks, African American officials and their constituents have been consumed by it, he writes. What often followed, however, was a tragic embrace of punitive solutions to deep-seated social woes. We're going to fight drugs and crime until the drug dealer's teeth rattle, Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson insisted in the 1970s. Congressman Charlie Rangel, who represented Harlem for decades, enthusiastically took up the mantle of a drug warrior during the crack epidemic in the 1980s. Eric Holder, a federal prosecutor, and later the first black U.S. Attorney General, championed pretextual car stops and searches to curb gun violence during the Clinton administration. So Eric Holder, who's the federal prosecutor during the Clinton administration, championed pretextual car stops and searches to curb gun violence during the Clinton administration. Even while focusing on Black America's presence at the start of mass incarceration, Foreman does not detach it from its roots in racist policies. If anything, he uncovers deeper ones. Black leaders in the 1970s, for example, called for a Marshall Plan for urban America to combat entrenched poverty and despair. They demanded social justice and stronger policing and greater economic opportunity, and received only stronger policing in response. Bracing this history are Foreman's own experiences as a public defender in Washington, D.C., where he witnessed black judges and prosecutors carry out the thousands of small decisions that helped build mass incarceration. He opened with the story of a local judge who reprimands teenage defendants with what Foreman described as the Martin Luther King speech, a stern lecture on how one's failings are an insult to the civil rights struggle, before handing the young man an extensive prison sentence. I grew to hate the Martin Luther King speech, Foreman writes. From both these personal experiences and the history that helped shape them, Foreman uncovers the black community's role in waging wars on crime and drugs. I spoke with him about the book, the stories behind it, and their meaning for the unusual moments in the national conversation on American law and order. Our conversation has been edited for length and clarity. And then I'll break down the different parts that he spoke about. But in this first part, Matt Ford, he asked the question, what surprised you most when you were writing and researching this book? And then James Ford began to speak. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to take a break. So, Smoke, I've said plenty of times, I said that ironically yesterday. I was like, these white motherfuckers ain't got no control over us. They ain't got no control over us. It's the black elite that keep playing the game and stuff, and that really holds us back. And these are the people that we really have to fight against, because if we don't look at them in their weird ways and fight against them, what they do is they attack us and hide their hand. So in this article, they're talking about how it's black politicians, black elites, who pass laws that end up fucking us over. And then when it fucks us over, then we turn around now, and then they'll turn around and be like, yeah, see, that's the racist white people we got to fight against. And we like, you're racist honkies, you're crackers, you're this, you're that. Not realizing that, no, they couldn't do that without the help of these black people.
Yeah, you said that shit.
And then the black people stand. Yeah, but then they stand with us. The blacks stand with us. They march with us. They walk around with us. And we don't say nothing to these traitors. We just keep electing them.
Yeah, that's why we got to change it. We got to change that narrative, you know what I'm saying? And really stop, endorsing shit blindly, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times it's like, we be fed a certain face, a certain, theme, a certain a point of view, and, we see the black face behind it, and then it's like, we blindly jump on the bandwagon, you know what I'm saying? So just as people, you know what I'm saying, as black people, we just have to be smarter in the sense of understanding what we jumping into, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times if you just research who's talking, you know what I'm saying, how long they been there, what is their rhetoric, what they signed off on, what these bills their names are attached to. You start to see that, and, the example you gave, points that out. But, this information is shit you can, it's public information. You can find this shit. So we just got to be smarter in the sense of that. Take the time to look at what you're saying before, you actually jump into that jump on that bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? Because you could be supporting your demise. You could be supporting your demise. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these dudes is talking about attaching themselves to mass incarceration. We don't know. I mean, every black family knows somebody who's incarcerated, cousin, uncle, whatever. You know what I mean? We all deal with that as a community. Family members going to jail and dealing with that part of life. So this is something that affects all of us. You know what I'm saying? And Charlie Rangel is a big name, and we just got to be smart in what we attaching ourselves to.
Charlie Rangel a big name, but what we got to understand is everything sometimes ain't what it seems, yo. Watch this, yo. Everything ain't what it seems, because a lot of times the history gets changed. Like your son, for example, right? Your son is growing up, and I don't mean literally, right? But you'll understand what I'm saying. Your son is growing up with the understanding that Oprah Winfrey doesn't have an issue with hip-hop. You understand what I'm saying? I don't mean literally, but you get what I'm saying?
You said my son growing up have it. Say that again?
I said your son is growing up with the understanding that Oprah Winfrey doesn't have an issue with hip-hop, with rappers.
No, right, because that's the more later understanding.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right, gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's literal, like your son really gives a fuck about Oprah Winfrey and what she likes.
No, I got what you're saying.
But I'm saying, right, that's a later stance. So for him growing up now, that's what he would see. But in our reality, we remember when she was against and was disrespectful against rappers and hip-hop artists. So what happened is we don't know that, like the Charlie Rangel. We know Charlie Rangel now. We don't know his viewpoint then, right? So watch this.
Right.
The question that Matt Ford asked is, what surprised you most when you were writing and researching for this book? He said, the more specific answer was the chapter on black policing. A few things surprised me about it. One is for how long into the past the demand for more black police officers had been on the civil rights agenda. I found Martin Luther King Sr. saying in 1947 that the 105,000 Negroes of Atlanta needed and deserved one Negro officer. I didn't know it went back that far. I also was surprised because I didn't know that there were so many different rationales that had been asserted over time for why we needed more black officers. I was familiar with the black police officers would be less brutal rationale. That's a little bit more of the modern black day one. But I didn't know that people argued that black police officers will be more aggressive and attentive to crime because they'll care about crime in black neighborhoods. I didn't know that was an argument that dated back to the 40s. So watch that, Smoke. So now we say we should have more black cops in our community because they'll be less brutal on us. But that's how we think now. But back then, when they were advocating for more black cops, they said because them cops would be more aggressive and assertive because they'll care about the community. So they'll really crack heads and shit like that to make sure everything is straight and running smooth in these communities. So it's like the same argument is being made to have more black cops into the community. But the reasoning behind it is what's changing. So the question is, what is the true argument for why we want more black policing in our community? That's the question. Do we want it so we can be treated fair and less brutal, or do we want it to be so you are harsher on the criminals? Like, why? See, that's what I'm saying. We have to determine who we are. We have to reclassify. We have to create new rules when it comes about being black, because everything that we thought it wasn't. It wasn't. You see what I'm saying? Everybody we taught to look at and look up to, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Another surprise finding for me was the disconnect between the civil rights advocates who are pushing for black officers and the actual people who were going to take the job, who were going and taking the job. A lot of the people that were taking these jobs as black officers were taking them because they wanted a good job. They were having a different conversation with themselves than the civil rights leaderships that were demanding more police, black police was having. And I never appreciated that disconnect until I went back and noticed how even though there were 40 or 50 or 60 or more years of action and demanding for black police, the officers themselves were so silent through that process. They weren't the ones testifying. They were the ones making speeches. They weren't the ones making speeches. They weren't the ones writing op-eds. They were going to work. That tension is one of the things that I argued is kind of problematic. But the way we think about black police now, because we have, I think, unreasonable expectations. I now realize we always have had those conflicting and unreasonable expectations of the difference that they would make. And I've now settled on the view that I've never had before, which is that we should have more black police officers, but we should have them because blacks deserve our fair share of good municipal jobs, not because we think they're going to change policing in any way. So, Smoke, what do you think about that comment?
So, he's just more so. Cause it's crazy because it's like, all right, we need jobs. That's always been a issue in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Unemployment. So you want to need jobs, but it's weird to not have the concern of, it's like an added benefit, but without changing something that's a detriment. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, get the jobs for police officers, that's going to feed more families. But, it's not really a change in how things are, which, when you look at the dynamic between the black community and police, that's always been, it's never really been a good dynamic, you know what I'm saying? So I would think you would want to change that dynamic, instead of being concerned about, that small added benefit of police jobs. You know what I mean? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting that he was say that shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I see a little. I mean, I could get it a little. You know what I'm saying? Because he's saying basically like, you know, we should have the a fair share. I mean, we do deserve to be able to get those good municipal jobs. So the ones who could, you know, as long as you can apply for it and be able to get hired to do it, then you should have your fair share and shake at having a municipal job. But we shouldn't look to them to change policing. So we shouldn't look at them different. You know what I'm saying? Same thing when it comes to sports. We should have a fair share and shake to compete and play into their NBA and their sports arena. But don't think these athletes are going to change the game or stand up for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we should look at it like that, because I feel like the people should be the leader, not the athlete. The people.
No, I feel what you're saying.
Donate money. Yeah.
I feel what you're saying.
Now watch this right here. So now we pass by the police one. Now here's the next question. A notable theme in the policing chapter was how class affected the black community's views. How does the division shape the discourse around criminal justice issues then and now? So he goes, the class question goes back a long time. One argument that civil rights advocates in Atlanta had in the 1930s and 1940s was the black officers would be able to be more effectively distinguished between the law-abiding members of the community and those that weren't. In essence, they were saying, white people can't tell us apart, but those of us that are upstanding, black officers will understand. They'll respect those members of our communities who deserve respect. I'm sympathetic to that, of course, but then I would go further and say everybody deserves that respect. That was the early example of class distinction becoming apparent. And like I said, that's what I feel like is going on between black people. We are starting to pick up on that stupid-ass class shit where we want to now try to emulate white people's structure of class system. And we want to make that same thing on the black side. And it's like we can't do that. We can't follow what white people do. We always have to create our own shit. You know what I'm saying, Smoke? We always got to do
it was like when you say class structure, you mean like motherfuckers being like bougie or some shit like that, or like financial
like
class,
upper class, middle class.
Right. I feel you. I got you. Yeah, like I'll make a few dollars more than you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't on my level.
Yeah.
When we really all in the same boat and shit.
Same boat. Same
damn boat. So yeah, I feel you on that.
So and something else I wanted to show too, because of the whole Eric Holder part of the game, right? And how his role in the incarceration of blacks under Clinton, where is it? I think it's here. Nah, this ain't it. Hold on. Yeah, I want to play this. It should be a YouTube. Yeah, here it goes. From the National Action Network. This is should be from Roland Martin's show. And I want to play this because I want y'all to hear these guys, these are black elites, and how they play us. You know what I'm saying?
Policing voting rights and the fight for justice. Those were some of the topics being discussed in the opening plenary session yesterday at the National Action Network Conference here in New York. Among the participants, the former Attorney General Eric Holder, Reverend Al Sharpton, and the Democratic National Committee Chair Tom Perez. Here's a look at some of the highlights.
No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? Let me also acknowledge why we organize. We have in the audience the living example of why we fight. And this organization is in a fight and lead. Stay in a fight. As I fight, this coming Saturday is 100 days of Donald Trump.
Now, this is Tom Perez speaking, who's the head DNC chairman. That he's supposed to be like a corporate Democrat. The real Democrats, like the Bernie Sanders Democrats, don't even fuck with him.
It's not a word I would use to describe what's going on. And we need people like you causing good trouble, in John Lewis's words, or Bear Gruston who said, angelic troublemakers. I feel like I'm at a gathering of angelic troublemakers here today. Because that's what we need to do. That's what made America, America. We need to articulate clearly what we stand for. And that's exactly what we're doing as the Democratic Party. Because I have to be honest, I've been making a lot of house calls. And you know what? We've been taking all too many people for granted. I've been in Detroit. I've been in Milwaukee. I was up in Flint. I've been elsewhere. I've been in rural America, urban America. I hear from folks in Detroit, Milwaukee, and elsewhere. Tom, you can't show up every 4th October in my church and say you care and call that an organizing strategy. I'm here to tell you that I hear that. We have to be in community 12 months a year, working together with you, organizing with you, selling our business with you, making sure that we're listening, we're learning, and most importantly, we are acting.
We've made a lot of progress in New York. We've done a lot to reform, thanks to Nan and the great organizing.
This is Eric Snyderman. He's the New York State Attorney General.
I can't hear it.
While we bring the population down,
You said what?
I couldn't hear it.
Well, you couldn't hear none of it?
No, the Snyder, the second guy, right? That's playing right now. But you put it back.
I am the special prosecutor. We're the only state that has this. Take cases away from local DAs. If a police officer kills an unarmed civilian, we take that violence out of it. And between 2011 and 2015, we cut stops and frisks in New York City by 97%, and the crime rate went down. The government can and should, I think, automatically.
This is Eric Holder, the former U.S. Attorney General.
And list all eligible citizens, all eligible residents in each jurisdiction. Now, several states have taken the steps in that direction. Oregon implemented an automatic registration procedure at DMV in 2016 and has already seen a 4-fold increase in registration. California, Vermont, and West Virginia have similar laws, and other states are leaning in that direction as well. It is estimated that if implemented at DMV and other key government agencies, these reforms will add 50 million registered voters to parole. Let us rise to the challenges and overcome the divisions and the fallacies of our time. Let's signal to the world that in America today, the pursuit of the perfect union lives on. Generations before us did not fail in that quest. Now it is our time. Now is not the time to in the face of a partisan assault on the most basic of American rights. The battle to ensure the voting rights of all Americans is, I believe, a divine issue. This is not only a legal issue, it is a moral imperative. If we are to be the nation that we claim to be, we must challenge in every way that is possible those who would undermine our democracy and who have lost faith in the conflict between the government and the people. The right to vote is now the cornerstone of our government. It is the lifeblood of our democracy.
Yeah, so that's the highlights from the National Action Network. The reason why I played that is because these are the black elite. This is your Al Sharpton. You see what I'm saying? This is your Eric Holders. These are the people that the number one thing that they always would like to talk to black people about is jobs, vote. Because they always want to round us up and keep us caught up on that fucking voting shit and us working for somebody. But you'll never hear these guys talk about entrepreneurship, business, creating more businesses in these communities. You're not going to hear them talk about that because that's not what they want. They want you working and being dependent upon somebody. These are not our leaders. These people been turned on us. All you got to do is listen. Go ahead, Smoke. Yeah, all you got to do is damn listen, man, because
I was talking.
If you listen,
I was talking. I was talking on mute.
I was gonna say, if you listen and shit, you know what I'm saying, or you're gonna hear them telling you what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? If you sitting here listening to somebody say, "I've been in Congress for 50 years," in the last 60 years that I've been in Congress, I've never seen this type of racism in my presidency. Wait a minute, you was here for 60 years? And my district still look like this? You got to listen to them when they talk. Because they'll slip up because they're not connected no more. So they're just going to say what you think, what they think that you want to hear. So when you're listening to somebody tell you that they was running your district for 50 fucking years and your district is still high crime neighborhood, that means they're doing a shitty job. And you need to change them and get them out of there. Don't keep them there because they black. You need to say to yourself, you're doing a horrible job. And we need somebody there to replace you, to do something better, because you've been there too long and ain't been doing nothing. Go ahead, Smoke, what you was about to say.
No, I was just going to say, like, us as a whole, black people as a whole, we as a community not having the, the knowledge of how, the real political game works, then, we could fall asleep with that. So it's like with the, you hear, Eric Holder, pumping up, touting voting, voter registration and, so forth and so on. And you pose the question of, why they don't promote entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship builds businesses, and businesses in the community builds an economy. And that's the part that's necessary in order for the political game to work. So we really had to understand the other political game, and we could tie the two together. Motherfuckers like that would not, all these people we mentioned throughout the show would not have the power. Their seats are gone. And so as long as they play those, this back and forth game with the people, and not really giving them, true empowerment, they can sit for 50 years and collect state benefits and get money and live comfortable lives, on the backs of black people who are uneducated on how the shit really works. So it's
wait. Before you continue, you got to refer back to the capitalistic chart. Because just like what you just said, when you don't know the game, these people are going to be there for 50 years just exploiting the people, eating off their back. But what do the capitalistic charts say? On the very bottom, we feed everybody, we work for all. We feed all, we work for all. On the top level is what? We eat your food, we eat your shit, we consume your shit. We win by taking all of your shit. Their purpose. When you understand that, then you understand how they move and how they act. You're not going to fall for their tricks anymore. Straight up, you're not going to fall for their tricks anymore. When you got politicians inside there long like that, you're supposed to get them out, yo. It don't matter how nice they are, how old they are, get them out because they're not working for your interest no more. They just there as relics. That's it. So now we got 18 minutes on the show, right? So I want to break this down too real quick, right, before we go. Now, I told y'all before about Donald Trump, right? And we're going to break some Donald Trump shit to y'all real quick. Donald Trump and Andrew Jackson, right? So they go, what can we learn about Trump from his favorite president, Andrew Jackson, right? They goes, how I feel as a Native woman when Donald idolizes Andrew Jackson. Donald Trump and the legacy of Andrew Jackson. Donald Trump picks Andrew Jackson portrait for the Oval Office. Donald Trump sees himself as Andrew Jackson. Donald Trump as Andrew Jackson. This historians say. Trump as the new Andrew Jackson. You see what I'm saying? The disturbing parallels between Donald Trump and Andrew Jackson. You see what I'm saying? It's like we don't. You got to know the history of these white people so you can understand why they idolize, who they idolize, and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? We don't get this shit because we don't know their history like we should know their history. So I'm going to read from White Violence and Black Response. And tell me what you think about this, Mo.
All right, well.
Chapter 1, the imposition of white rule. White supremacists, so the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, thousands of Union troops were stationed in the South, and some of these troops were black. White supremacists were outraged at the sight of blacks with guns and therefore some measure of power, and they were quickly successful in having black soldiers withdraw from the South. During the Johnsonian Reconstruction, the former slaves were legally free as a result of the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, but the South white rules made evident their intentions to reduce the freemen to a position of powerless semi-slavery. Already by 1866, ex-Confederates in Pulaski, Tennessee had formed a secret organization, the Ku Klux Klan, whose purpose it was to terrorize blacks into submission to white rule. So there goes, although the United States Freedmen's Bureau existed as some protection of black interests, the freedmen were intimidated, whipped, and beaten to compel them to agree to onerous labor contracts with landlords. The moderate influence of the Freedmen's Bureau was undermined by Andrew Johnson's commitment to white supremacy and the consequent failure to employ federal executive power effectively to protect those in the South who had supported the Union. A summary of the violence that marked the South immediately following the Civil War is to be found in a report that Republican leader Carl Schurz, S-C-H-U-R-Z, provided President Johnson. Some planters held back their former slaves on their plantations by brute force. Schwartz wrote, armed bands of white men patrolled the countryside to drive back the Negroes wandering about. Dead bodies of murdered Negroes were found on and near the highway and bypaths. Gruesome reports came from the hospitals, reports of colored men and women whose ears has been cut off, whose skull has been broken by blows, whose bodies have been slashed by knives or lacerated by scroungers. Schwartz wrote, not as an extremist, but rather as a responsibility. Anti-slavery observers of conditions that alarmed him. Even during the initial phase of Reconstruction, however, blacks did not respond passively. In several of the ex-Confederate states, blacks held conventions to formulate programs for Reconstruction, programs that stressed protection from violence, access to education, and a chance at economic opportunity. With dignity and restraint, the conventions reminded the public of the loyal support given the Union by blacks. During 1866, the desire of blacks to articulate their views of the future resulted in two major confrontations with white supremacists. In Memphis and New Orleans, organized mobs and white brutally assaulted blacks who sought to exercise the right of peaceably assembling. The New Orleans episode particularly focused national attention on what lay behind ex-Confederate polite words of reconciliation. The violence, as Donald E. Reynolds writes, was one of the principal reasons why the radical Republicans were able to wrench control of Reconstruction from President Andrew Johnson. Blacks and their white Republican allies had sought no more than to convey a state constitutional convention that would probably extend the franchise to the freedmen. Gathering in the convention hall, they were attacked and slaughtered by a mob led by the city's police, a force largely made up of militia. Confederate veterans, a reporter of the anti-conventionalist New Orleans Times commented, to see the Negroes mutilated and literally beaten to death as they sought to escape was one of the most horrid pictures it has ever been our ill fortune to witness. The United States Army units stationed in New Orleans failed to take any effective action to protect the convention, and the Johnson administration in Washington ignored warnings that the violence was likely. The New Orleans riot put Johnsonian Reconstruction to the test. The black and white radicals who died there succeeded in showing in microcosm what presidential Reconstruction was all about: the indifference of national authority to black lives and rights, the concentration of local power in the hands of those who only months before had fought the Union on the battlefield. The willingness of white supremacists to kill those who wanted something more than was offered in the black codes, all masked against proven loyalists, black and white, who wanted their legal rights. New Orleans and Memphis were significant factors leading to the overwhelming Republican victory in the 1866 congressional election that made possible the enactment of the legislation based for radical reconstruction. So the reason why I read that, right, Smoke, is just to show under Andrew Jackson's reign, he was the champion for poor whites. You see what I'm saying? They highlighted that in the book, White Violence and Black Response. They also mention it in the book, White Trash, in dealing with Andrew Jackson in his cracker country, as they call it. And they say by 1800, 1/5 of America's population had resettled on its frontier, the territory between the Appalachian Mountain and the Mississippi. Effective regulation of the mass migration was well beyond the limited powers of the federal government. Even so, officials understood that the country's future depended on controlling the vast territory. Financial matters were involved too. Government sales of these lands was needed to reduce the national's war debt. Besides, the land were hardly empty, and the potential for violent conflicts with Native Americans was ever present, as white migrant settlers on land they did not own. National greatness depended as much as anything upon the class of settlers that was advancing into the new territories. Would the West be a dumping ground for a refuge population, or would the United States profit from the natural bounty and grow as a continental empire more equitably? There is much uncertainty. Let me get to the part where they start talking about the Andrew Jackson and shit. Because they're really just talking about the quality of the people and shit that Jackson about the going to be helping and shit like that.
Right.
But basically, in a nutshell, I'm gonna see can I find it. Basically, in a nutshell, it's just that Andrew Jackson is the president for the cracker, for the poor cracker, for the poor white trash. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna sit over here now and you're wondering about the racism and all this shit, like, listen, this is their time to shine. The poor white cracker. But what you need to be saying to yourself is, while they getting that shit together, what are you doing? That's the only thing I keep screaming, Snoop. You know what I'm saying? That's
what are you doing? Shouldn't be concentrating on them. It definitely shouldn't be concentrating on them. We got a lot of shit in our communities that we need to build within our families and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it definitely the focus. We got a lot of shit to focus on, but what the poor whites is doing, you know what I'm saying? Their strategies and their vigor, you know, shit that they got going on now, being empowered by, you know, Trump being in office and shit. So that's a great comparison, you know what I'm saying? That's a great way a great breakdown of that comparison and shit. But
and that's my whole shit, because my thing is this: you don't want them to get their shit together before you. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to sit over here passing laws and shit, and you not involved in these laws, because you allowing some fucking liberals to tell you, resist. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to nothing that Trump's saying. Oh, no. What we need to be doing is saying to ourselves, okay, what y'all doing with the taxes? What y'all doing with the tax law? What's the new tax law? What y'all doing
that's
with
not
the
even
businesses?
that's not even a good strategy. You know what I'm saying? That's never a good strategy. It don't matter who in office. Why would you not care about what the president is doing? Why would you not want to follow what's going on and if possible, make an impact in that shit? It's like that's not really a good strategy regardless.
Ignorant.
So it's like
they want to
damn.
keep you ignorant. As long as we ignorant, then we don't know what's going on. So we got to keep relying on them to tell us. That's why they're telling us not to engage, not to pay attention. Because now what? Tune in next week and I'll let you know. All right. So I always need them. That's why they don't want us to know nothing.
That's crazy, man.
They think they slick. I'm not listening to these people. Why they not talking about economics? Why they not talking about the poor? Why they talking about the middle class? To the point where they get mad and get mad because Trump talking about the poor. Oh, they act like all black people live in the ghetto. No. He ain't say that. He talking about what's going on in the ghetto. The shit you not talking about.
And all of us talk about the ghetto. Everybody want to talk about their impact, the ghetto on them, and that's in their life story and all this shit. And it's like, you know, we want to forget about that. Yo, that shit is crazy, man.
Motherfuckers be looking at the hood now like that's what made you strong. So we don't want to change that condition. Because now we want to make that like a rite of passage and shit for black people. And it's like, yo, we got to change our shit because really what's going on, you got black people that know that you can't, all right, so I'm listening to Oskino. And he talking about when he got out of jail, one of them state property niggas, he charged him like, he said 15,000, but I'm wondering was it really 1,500? I don't know. To upload his music, Neef. To upload his music on iPhone. I mean on the iTunes. So it's like if he would have paid him and did that, you know what I'm saying? It's like Neef benefits off of his ignorance. And that's how the elite blacks do us. They benefit off our ignorance. They don't want us to get smart. And when you understand that, then you're going to realize I shouldn't be listening to these people. But if you don't understand that, then you're not going to not listen. You're going to keep listening. And you can. But we coming to the end. Thanks for listening, like always. Let's go to that YouTube page. Support the YouTube page. Subscribe. Let's get some thumb ups, you know what I'm saying, and things like that, so I can to get the shows more visible on YouTube. Other than that, you know, this is In Black America Radio. We here Fridays and Saturdays from 9 to 11. And we'll see you again on Friday. Smoke, you want to close it out before we shut this down?
Yo, 2 shows this weekend, man. Shout out to that. You know what I'm saying? Word up. So